Welcome back, bitches. I'm Lindsey.
And I'm Skyler.
And this is the No Literally podcast.
If you missed our last episode, go ahead and make sure you give it a listen.
This week, we are talking about how we got into entrepreneurship, some of the lessons we've learned, and some helpful tips for those of you who may be interested in starting your own business.
First, we are going to start off with me saying that entrepreneurship is 110% overglorified.
Yes.
There's so much that goes into it. We are both so thankful to be able to own our own businesses. But with that also comes some hardships, which we will touch on a little bit later. I'm going to go into a little more detail about the business I own. If you are new here, my name is Skyler. I am a personal trainer. I have been a personal trainer for going on 5 years now. And on the side of that, I also manage social media accounts, which is super fun to do, kind of just being in that space and seeing what other people are doing as well. So I do in-person and online fitness coaching.
She is also my personal trainer. I see Skyler twice a week. Best decision I ever made. And it's been so fun just in the time even that I've been training with you, just how much you've grown and how things have changed.
Yeah, and I think as a business owner, you're always growing and evolving too. But enough about me. Let's talk about Lindsey. Lindsey, what do you do?
So as we've talked about in previous episodes, I own a spray tan business. With that, I have also done spray tan training. And then in addition to that, similar to Skyler, I've done social media management, not for clients that I don't know. It's been just for like a friend or my family. So we've done a little bit of that. And
also competition tanning.
Competition tanning, yes. So bodybuilding tanning, it is still kind of in the realm of, regular spray tanning, but it does entail a lot of other different things as well. And so, yeah, I've kind of dabbled in a few things and it's been a lot. And a lot has been learned for sure.
If you don't know, Lindsey is my spray tan girl. I see her every Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
Yes.
I typically don't ever miss my appointments because it's just so great.
Yeah. And if she does, her mental health is unwell.
Sounds so dramatic, like relying on a tan for how good you feel.
Yeah, no, literally, I need a spray tan right now. You do not want to see what is under these clothes. It is diabolical. So let me just tell you. So I do want to touch on just kind of some tips, some things that we've learned throughout our journey, kind of some of the things that we've observed from those around us, and something that I am learning kind of as I become more comfortable as a business owner and just comfortable with myself. You see a lot of people talk about like surround yourself with the people that doing better, not necessarily in like a competition sort of sense, but like surrounding yourself with people who have been in your shoes and have kind of come out on top, and surrounding yourself with people that you would want to be like, that kind of motivate you. And I think that's so true, because when you try to stick it out with people that not that and that are kind of in a sense like holding you back. And I do think that it's important to remember as young entrepreneurs that it's okay to outgrow people. That doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be like a falling out, or it doesn't need to be some big dramatic thing. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to outgrow processes, because that's a normal part of owning a business. Like,
I agree. And one thing I do want to touch on too, where I feel most young entrepreneurs fail, is you have to protect your reputation because you are your business. I would say I was so well behaved in my early 20s because I was like, my business is on the line. Like if someone doesn't like me, they don't like my business. Or if I'm out having bad character and just doing all this random shit and going crazy, like people are going to have something to say about my business. And when you open your eyes and view the bigger picture, it's like, this is a business that's not just temporary for me. Like this is lifelong. Like eventually I'm going to have to raise my kids off this, buy a house, like do all of this stuff, be a wife. And I feel like a lot of people just be like, oh, I'm young, have fun. But when you're a business owner, you're kind of like, and I'm not saying you can't have fun, but things are different because if the whole community you involved yourself with starts to hate you based on the things you've done
personally,
it's like, that's going to reflect business-wise.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily like don't be a different person in your personal life than who you are in your business. Be mindful of what you're doing in your personal life because ultimately that is going to impact your business. So if you are out, like do your thing. Have fun, live your life, but make sure that that aligns with your business because I do feel that, especially as a small business, your personal behavior should align with your business. Now, if your business is like, just sticking it to the man and, having that sort of like, don't give a fuck attitude, then absolutely like be that way in your personal life. So it's just something that you need to be mindful and something that I personally kind of try to just do myself is don't say things about people, about their businesses if you wouldn't say that to them in person if they were in the same room as you. So it's kind of, it puts a bad taste in people's mouth when you go around and you badmouth other businesses or you speak poorly about them, not necessarily even bad mouthing them, but speaking poorly about their character.
One thing I like to throw in there too is we always say like there's room for all of us to succeed. There is plenty of people out there and we're all human beings. At the end of the day, yes, we are business owners, but we are human beings, and I think people need to take that into consideration. I was listening to my business coach the other day and he said, people hate to see you do good. And as sad as that sounds, like that's so real. When you're like down in the trenches, your business isn't doing good, you're mentally not well, you'll realize that you have a whole fucking community of support. But the minute you get out of that and you rise up and you're like feeling good and financially business is doing good, like everything else, where is everyone?
Yeah.
They're gone.
Right.
And it's shitty, but that's just how life is. That's how it goes. But along the lines of like, the more businesses you support as an individual, the more referrals, the more clientele, the more positive things people will have to say about your business will come back to you. I can't tell you how many clients I've referred to Lindsey and vice versa. When you have a community like that, your business is bound to succeed at some point. Now, if you go around and I'm like, hey, fuck Lindsey, you know what I mean? Like, is she going to refer clients to me? No.
Right.
And am I going to, and if she said that about me, am I going to refer clients to her? Like, no. So I think just being able to have a big circle of other entrepreneurs surrounded by you that you can refer people to and other entrepreneurs that like genuinely resonate with you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to send everyone. If something doesn't align with you, it doesn't align with you. But I think your first step would be just supporting others because at the end of the day, like either you've been where they currently are or they've been where you currently are.
Right. Well, and I think too, kind of back on the topic of outgrowing people, even if you've outgrown someone, you can still refer people to them. Just because your businesses no longer align together, that doesn't mean anything. But the moment someone takes that personally and goes off and starts speaking poorly about the other person's business, I mean, that right there kills your opportunity for receiving referrals. And I mean, that's not something that you want to do as a business owner, especially a small business owner in a local community. You have got to preserve those connections as much as possible, regardless of how your two businesses are interacting together. It can still remain a cordial and positive space. It does not need to be a falling out or some, I don't fuck with them anymore, or, they did this to me, or, like it doesn't need to be a negative space. It can continue to be a positive space and just say our businesses no longer align. We have different goals and different ideal clientele, whatever that looks like. But that person is still great at what they do, and 10 out of 10 would recommend them every time. Just because I don't do business with them in some capacity doesn't mean I wouldn't recommend that someone else does. Like, there's someone for everyone. And just because you're not necessarily a fit for me from a business perspective doesn't mean that I'm going to speak poorly about you, because that's just not who I am.
And to kind of piggyback off that, I guess a tip I would be able to give not just young entrepreneurs, but any entrepreneur, was very early in the game, you need to learn how to separate business and friendship.
Yes.
That is the key, because there's been people that I'm friends with that I at one point did business with, or some kind of whatever I did, business related with them.
Yeah.
And I decided to put that on a pause, or they've decided, like, whatever it may be, no longer working together, and someone always gets offended.
Yeah.
And I feel like just because I choose not to have you in my business space doesn't mean I choose not to have you in my personal space. And I feel like that's such a huge thing that people don't understand. Like, if I cut you off business-wise, that doesn't mean I'm cutting you off friendship-wise,
Right.
relationship-wise. And I think if a lot of people understood that, there wouldn't be so much emotion involved.
Right. Well, and that's where it gets tricky. And I think everybody has kind of fallen victim to kind of commingling business and personal relationships. And it's just one of those things that it's going to happen, and you're going to learn from it, hopefully, and choose differently next time. It's hard because just like when you're in like a romantic relationship, sometimes it just happens unexpectedly. You know, you do business with someone for so long that you just kind of organically become close. But kind of like you said, if one person then decides, okay, this is no longer working from a business perspective, it's hard for some people to not take it personally. And
I think that's where I struggle, because I try so hard to be an empathetic person. But for me, like, one is business, one is friendship. Like,
right.
I don't care. It's so easy for me to differentiate the two. However, I need to understand that for some people, it's not that way. But like, in my brain, just thinks like, what is this a big deal about?
Well, and I think too, it kind of boils down to lack of communication. You know, like, please tell me if at any point, you know, you no longer want to do business with me. I fully understand. If I have done something that does not align with your business anymore, please tell me.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, I want to hear everybody's feedback. Like, whether I've been a shitty coach, whether I haven't provided enough in some area of my business, like, we are not going to know those things unless we are told those things. And I think people are so scared to say what they think or something naturally,
Right.
that it's like, that I think it's just really hard for people to kind of be upfront about the things they're feeling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, as a business owner, if you aren't upfront, if you don't say what you feel, if you aren't direct, obviously still with empathy, not like just being a raging bitch, and you do set those boundaries, like, you have to do that.
Right.
Like, if you don't do that, you will be walked all over. Your feelings will be hurt all the fucking time. I mean, I don't know.
I think any successful business owner would likely tell you that exact same thing. And again, it's not always going to come naturally. And we're going to tell you this, and it's going to go in one ear and out the other, because just as humans, we have to learn for ourselves. But it's just one of those things that you're going to experience as an entrepreneur or business owner of any kind. You know, it comes with age and wisdom. And, 10 years ago, I would not have had the same mindset. I did not have the same mindset. I really think that the universe put the things on my path that it did, because had I become the business owner I wanted to be 12 years ago, I think there would have been a lot more struggles. I would have been a good business owner, but it probably would not have come without a lot of drama and, a lot of comparison. I was not ready for that. So for those of you who are young and have had the opportunity to start your business early in life, definitely be cautious of those around you and choose wisely and learn from the mistakes that you make and don't repeat them. That's really going to be the biggest thing, is just actually sit down with yourself. And if something didn't quite work out the way that you expected it to, try to look at the bigger picture, or say, what could this teach me and how can I do it differently? If I had to repeat this same scenario over again, how could I do it better next time?
I want to go ahead and talk about what the first 2 years in business kind of look like. So, and it's going to be different for everyone just because like we're all in different fields. We all have a different path, but the first 2 years, I think pretty basic across the board for everyone, are going to be the same, and it's going to be fucking hard.
Yep.
Like, you're going to have to just put your head down and work.
Yep.
Like, it'll feel like you have no give to do anything. And I'm here to tell you that the first 2 years of your business are most likely not going to be popping. You just have to stay consistent. Don't fall into the trap of, well, comparison. Well, I look at this person and they're doing better than me. Okay, they've been in business for 15 years. Like, you've been in business for one. Like,
naturally, they're doing better than you because they have been in your position.
Yeah, but there's no saying like you can't get to that point.
Right.
I think when we start a business, 9 times out of 10, we let our thoughts eat us alive, which is normal. We're human. But if I could give one piece of advice in the first 2 years, it would just be consistency. Show up when it's hard. Show up when it's boring. Show up when you have no clients. Just show up.
Yep. When you're defeated and things are not doing, what you want them to do, you're not getting clients, you have to just continue, be creative and try things that you haven't tried, so that if for some reason it doesn't work out, you can say, I literally tried everything. And I think too, like, there are some business owners in the beauty space that I have seen do incredibly well the first couple years of the business. Like, I'm talking storefront, multiple locations. And what I found out is that they had more resources than a lot of us start with. Maybe you have a lot of business connections. Maybe their family is in that space, or maybe their family loaned them the money to get the best of the best equipment and the product and the marketing team, and they were able to do what takes some of us years to accomplish because we're trying to build that capital, and they started with that. So I think, it's important to remember that you don't know what their starting point is and what resources they're coming into it with. Or maybe it's something that, they were just very patient, like, could not be me, but maybe they were patient and really, saved their money so that they could start kind of with a slightly better foundation. If I had to close my doors today, that's what I would do, is I would build a more solid foundation, start again, so that it wasn't quite as challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everybody's starting point is different. They still have a lot to learn, but all the other business pieces of it, they could have started with more than you had available to you.
And this always makes me laugh because when I go back and look at like the shit I posted on social media when I first started my business, I cringed so hard. I'm like, I need to delete this. I need to delete this, like this
Archive right now.
I'm like, this should have been illegal to post. No. But it's also fun to go back and watch how your business has grown and how your content's like grown. And, like when I started at the gym, I had 0 clients. I literally was just posting on Facebook, hitting up everyone I knew, like, hey, come in for a free session, da-da-da-da-da. There was days I had 2 clients, one in the morning, one in the evening, and I fucking drove 30 minutes there, trained my client, drove 30 minutes home, did it again at night. And it's just like, you have to make those sacrifices when you're first starting. Like, you don't really have much wiggle room. I knew that I wanted my business to do well. So those are just sacrifices I made. And I also want to say that when you first start business, you're very giving to everyone.
No, I literally was like hemorrhaging gifts to people. I'm like, here's
yes.
here's a little this. oh, your tan's a little lighter than you wanted it to be. Come back right now. I'm going to bring you again.
To allow much more shit to slide in the beginning of business.
Yeah.
And then once you go and transition into, okay, now I can kind of tighten up my boundaries a little bit. That's extremely hard, but it needs to be done.
Yes.
Also, I noticed that a lot more of my clients, a lot more of my people around me respected me once I tightened up those boundaries.
Yeah.
If I could go back in time, I think when starting my business, my boundaries should have been a lot tighter.
Right. Well, it's hard. You want to make everybody happy.
As a trainer, like when I talk about boundaries, I'm talking like you canceled with less than 24 hours in advance.
Yes.
And it's like, for a really long time, I let that slide. But then at what point do you turn around and be like, no, this is disrespectful to me as a human being? Because now you canceled not 24 hours in advance.
Right.
I still showed up to your session. I'm still missing out on money. And now my pay gets pushed back because you couldn't show up.
Right. Like if you are shitting your pants profusely, cannot get off the toilet, projectile vomiting across the room, like please do not come.
Yeah.
It's like if it's a habitual thing, that's different.
And that's where that's what I mean boundary wise is like, I wish like, oh, you've done this 4 days in a row. Like,
right. But like,
and I'm allowing you to get away with it.
Right. But but if somebody does it, once or twice, you're like,
yeah, I'm like, that's fine. We'll reschedule your session. But like, if it comes,
but
all
also
the time,
who respect, the fact that you have a 24-hour cancellation window or whatever, they will say, I'm so sorry, I'm not able to make it. Don't worry about rescheduling my session. Let me pay you. Coffee's on me or whatever.
Right.
Like those are the clients that you want to keep around that understand like you have a policy and I'm so sorry I have to break it right now. I don't want anything in return from you.
Right.
This one time just doesn't, work for me or whatever.
Yeah. And I think too, like finding clients who really resonate with you as a human being. I just like started doing this where like I don't want 1,010,000 clients, random people all over the place. Like I want clients who genuinely have the same values I have, who genuinely want to work on their health, who genuinely want to show up for themselves, consistency. And I think that's where a lot of business owners mess up and make working for themselves shitty because when I first started business, like I'll take anyone. I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, you want to train? Perfect. Here you go. And then I'm like mad because my values doesn't align with this person's values. And then it's kind of just like, it's hard. And when you build a community, all the girls that I train are in a community and it's, is this an individual I want to bring into the community of powerful women I already have? Or is this individual just going to shit on them? And so I think being selective about it is so important as well.
And that doesn't mean like you have to have the same political values.
No.
But like your core values just as a human, I think it is important. And organically we gravitate towards those people, both as the business owner and as the consumer. I mean, if I'm going to go get my hair done with someone every 6 to 8 weeks and I'm going to sit in their chair for 3 hours, I
better like you.
If we are just vastly different humans with completely different morals and values, it's going to be a difficult 3 hours. You know what I mean? And then you just you're like, I don't want to be around people like that. So if someone is not aligning with that for you, it's okay to.
And I think even on the other end, if you're a customer listening to this and you feel that way about some service industry in your life,
right?
If you're not vibing with your hair girl, your trainer, your tan girl, your nail girl, whatever it might be, you have the power to take yourself out of that and find someone who aligns with you because I promise you, there's someone out there who does.
Like if you're a negative Nancy, if your service provider's a negative Nancy all the time and they have nothing good to say about anybody or anything and they're always complaining and you as a person are trying to remain positive and kind of see the brighter side of things, that is so draining. And that goes, if you're a service provider and your client is a negative Nancy all the time and never has anything to, it's okay to say, I no longer feel that we are a good fit. And, here are some other recommendations that I think might be a better, fit for you. And it's okay. We have to get out of that mindset of like, oh, I need that person just because they do good hair. I need them to change who they are as a person because they don't align with who I am. And that's just not going to happen. I mean, asking everybody around you to change according to what your morals and values are is unrealistic. And same as a service provider.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There's someone out there for everyone. There's someone out there for you. And I think moral of the story at the end of the day is entrepreneurship. Like, I'll just repeat a little bit. It's hard. It's exhausting. You work way more than when you work a 9 to 5. However, it feels so good to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It feels so good to build a business that aligns with you. That's everything you've ever wanted. And when you get to that point to where you have your ideal clients, you have a community, you have, a group of other entrepreneurs surrounding you that just make all the difference in your world, you don't even care about the monetary value of anything. And I think that's a really good place to be. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs focus a lot on the money, but that will be the quickest way you fail. I saw a quote that said, money isn't evil, but the love for money is evil. Yeah. And that resonates so much because I do see even some of my friends who are entrepreneurs are like, yeah, money. Well, now you've dug yourself this big hole. Yep. You feel empty inside and you have nothing but money to show for that.
Right.
And to me, like, I'd rather have the community. You know what I mean? Like, right. So much more. I'd rather change people's lives more than having all this money and doing ungenuine work.
Well, and I think too, when you are so focused or solely focused on the money aspect of your business, like obviously we are in this to make money. Everybody is.
Right.
But when you're solely focused on just that one aspect of entrepreneurship, you are making sacrifices at the expense of others. Like if your mindset is to literally do whatever it takes just to make that quick buck, you will quickly realize that you no longer have anything except money. You don't have the community because they're like, this guy's a dickhead and will do anything, to make money. That's all he's in it for. He will sabotage you and badmouth you and this, that, and the other thing just to make money. When you're focused on just the community and the relationships and the networking in a positive manner, the money will come organically.
Right.
It's just going to be a side effect of all of those other things.
And I think too, yeah, money is nice, right? We need to pay our bills. We need to do this. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that money doesn't make the world go round. Maybe for some people it does, okay? But like, I'd rather be poor and live in a box and happy internally than rich but miserable inside. And I always say, you're masking some kind of trauma, pain, emotional something by chasing a dollar. You're masking something inside and you think that that's going to fix it, and it's not. So my business class has really taught me how to heal internal trauma, and that a lot of us are unable to make the money, and we have these internal blocks and these limiting self-beliefs because of either childhood trauma or relationship trauma or whatever it may be. But if you don't lead your business from the heart and you don't have pure intentions for everyone who comes your way,
yep,
you're going to hit a point where you fail.
Right. Well, and if you are at a point where you're doing well or you're doing well financially, great. Now you have the resources to go to therapy to address, those things to help you.
But a lot of the times when they're chasing the money, they're not interested and they don't think they have a problem.
Yes, but that's the problem. Like, go to therapy, babe. Like, you'll do better monetarily if you fix those internal issues. Because I mean, really, like when you like super successful, don't have good personal relationships, like that's what they're known for. It's like, oh, like this guy's a serial cheater, which is some deep-rooted issue, or like, or he's a narcissist, and this, it's not just men, it's everybody. But just speaking generally, that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
That's a hard life to live. So
at the end of the day, entrepreneurship's hard. It will test you. I'm no expert in it. Obviously, these are just tips from things I've went through and things I've experienced. There's not a real book on how to fucking deal with all of this. My advice to you is, if you're struggling in entrepreneurship, kind of just listen around, look what other people similar to your profession or field are doing, and just kind of write it down, take what resonates with you, and try it out.
And two, if there are other business owners or businesses or people, that you follow on social media, that you find yourself comparing, to yourself to a lot, it's okay to mute them so that they don't come across your feed. I've done that, and it was just incredible, the difference that it made. Like, I didn't unfollow them because I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I just needed the space to stop comparing myself, and that meant not seeing, whatever it was that they were posting. And it's not because I'm not happy for them, but comparing yourself is just not a healthy thing to do. You want to follow people that motivate you and say, I would love to be like that person, not comparing yourself like they've been doing this longer or not longer. They've been doing this as long as I have, and yet they seem to be doing better.
Yeah, social media is just a highlight reel.
Yeah. And you really don't know. People are so good at making it seem like they have it all together. I've had someone tell me, like, we're talking and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've just been slacking. Like I really need to get my shit together. And she's like, you have it together. Like, no, I don't.
Yeah, like, I'm glad you think.
And that is the furthest from the truth. But that just goes to show that, like, I feel like I don't have my shit together. I need to be better. Like, there are things that I really need to put my energy into, but there's someone somewhere that's like, oh, this person has it all together. And so you just never know what's actually going on the other side of that screen. So if someone's draining you, mute their account and really just stay in your lane and focus on the people, the businesses, whatever that's going to motivate you, and do less comparing.
I agree.
It's such an easy trap to fall into. So young business owners, do that. But the first 2 years of business for me, a lot of grinding, a lot of late night DMs, a lot of like just looking through Facebook groups, and I was always on my phone.
I still am.
I mean, no, yeah, for real. But now it's like, I don't feel so bad. Like if something needs my attention, I don't feel so bad about, putting my phone down and going and taking care of that, because it's like, it's going to be there when I come back. But you don't feel that way when you first start your business.
No.
You're like, if I step away from this right now, it's the end of my business.
Yeah.
I'm going down and it's going to fall into shambles. So, and kind of going back to saying it's okay to outgrow, you'll see a lot of people when you're starting your business, you need to figure out what your ideal clientele is, things like that. That's going to change
a million times.
It just is. Every business has gone through that, and that's just a natural evolution of business. So if you find yourself reaching that point that your ideal client is changing, don't be hard on yourself. It's going to be okay. And that ideal client that you are wanting to reach, you will find them. Rest assured.
It's funny. I have a question on, like, how do you feel sending DMs? Because you said, like, you would do that your first 2 years of business a lot. Till this day, 5 years in, I'm too terrified to send DMs.
Almost like cold calling, sort of?
Just like DMing my followers.
Oh, I mean, I don't do that.
Oh,
they're DMing me.
Oh, okay. You didn't reach out first.
No, not necessarily. I think my approach to if there's someone that I want to work with or someone that I want as a client, I don't like to just start off with like a DM. I will follow them. I will engage with their content, kind of build a relationship. Like if they post something on stories that's like funny or relatable, I'll respond to it. Oh my God, so real. You know what I mean? And then naturally either they will say, hey, I've kind of seen, you've been engaging with my content. Tell me about what you do, or like, I'd love to come see you. Or then after you've kind of built kind of an online relationship, then I'll say like, hey, would you be interested in modeling for me? Or like, I need a content model for, my social media. Like, would you want to come in for a discounted tan, whatever?
Yeah.
That's kind of more my approach.
Okay.
Like, I was responding to DMs left and right. It wasn't like if I received a DM at 10 p.m. and I was up, I was responding to it.
I still fucking do that. I have because my thing is like, if I'm on my phone and I see it, why would I not reply? I'm really good at like, well, first of all, I have anxiety. Second of all, I'm like, oh my God, I always have 1,000,010 things on my to-do list.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Skyler, you literally have time to get this done right now. Why won't you?
Yeah.
Because you're just going to make tomorrow hell for yourself. Like, get it done,
I will push it all off until the last minute, as long as humanly possible. Client DMs, like if it's someone that is, like a potential client, they're reaching out to me asking questions. If it's late at night, I will wait until the next day.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
But should you, though? Because people love to spend money at night when they're in bed impulsively, like,
I don't know.
I go back and forth between that. Like, someone at midnight will submit an inquiry request for me, and if I'm up and I see it come through,
you'll respond.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know you're in the business of like, your decision is emotional right now.
Yeah. It's hard though, because like, at least for me, it's something they have to schedule it.
Yeah. And so they do the work.
Eventually, at some point but even though they don't pay for it until they come. So
really?
Yeah. I don't do like deposits or collect ahead of time now. Because then I feel like I'm working for free next time. Like, or by the time they come.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't do that just because I feel like I'm working for free.
That makes sense.
Later, even though I'm not. And then what if they do cancel? Like, even if it's like, it's a non-refundable deposit, I feel like I'd refund it.
Okay.
I don't know. Either way, it's hard out here in these streets.
Hard, but worth it.
Yeah. So
you also meet a lot of really cool people. I feel like I almost know someone in like every field. It's so crazy.
Well, I know that like if I needed something, like if I'm looking for someone in a specific field of work, I can probably just go on Instagram and say, hey, does anybody know a reputable landscaper, a reputable, car detailing service? Like what?
Yeah. You meet some of the greatest people ever. I've had so many clients turn into like my bestest of friends and help me out more than like my own family has.
No, yeah. They say that your clients will become friends faster than your friends will become.
That is so true.
Like,
I wish I could scream that from the rooftop.
And those are the people that are going to be the most supportive of you, is those clients that have become your friends. They will support you far more than your family ever will. Now, that's not like to say your family will never support you.
You get more support from strangers.
For sure. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you're lucky and your family loves you so much and they're just,
I don't think I've had any family member purchase from me.
I have.
The only way they'll do something is if I'm giving away a free something.
You're like, bitch, come on. You get it for free.
But honestly, it's okay. Like, I don't really care, but just when you go into business, just know that strangers will support you more.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you so much for spending your Wednesday morning with us. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. Episodes are released every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Arizona time.
Next week is Valentine's Day. We'll be spilling the tea on our listeners' dating horror stories. So make sure you tune in for that.
Yeah. Oh, I need to make a list of maybe some that I have.
Dude, I have such a good one.
Okay. We'll see.
Okay.
So follow us at noliterally.podcast on Instagram or No Literally Podcast on TikTok. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that you listen to podcasts.
Bye.